All right, welcome back in. It is the Zach Gelb Show. The Oregon Ducks are back in the college football playoff coming up on December 20th. They'll do battle in Eugene up against James Madison. And now joining us is the head football coach with the Oregon Ducks, and that, of course, is Dan Lanning. Coach, congratulations. Thanks for the time. How you been?
Doing good, Zach. Thanks for having me.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. So the national narrative with your team the last few weeks was you guys control your own destiny. Some people were skeptical if you were going to beat both USC and Washington. I wasn't. I thought you guys were going to win both those games, but just wondering, after those two games played out the way that they did, and you now know that you're going back to the college football playoff, what did you learn about your team in the last two games?
Yeah, I mean, I really think the last three are completely different games. Even going back to that Iowa game, and I guess Minnesota was in between there as well. But we've learned that we're a team that can win in multiple ways. We've got physicality. We can play great defense. We can score points on offense. Special teams has been a huge impact for us this season. So I think just the having the strength of a team that allows you to do those different things and prove that you can win in different ways is really important for us the last few weeks.
Last year, you guys jumped into a new conference. You were undefeated. You win the conference championship. You had that long layoff, and then it just didn't go your way up against Ohio State. The mentality of the group this year, how is it different maybe from the one a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, that team wanted to win too, right? We all want to win. I think it's the lessons learned, and the way you did things. And just because you didn't have success doesn't mean you weren't doing things right. It just means you got to continue to tweak your process and figure out what makes you the best version of yourself. We played an outstanding team. And that Ohio State team last year, I think everybody recognizes that they were really good. But ultimately, we've made some tweaks on how we're going to prep, this season in comparison. I am excited about the fact that we have a game early. I think there's some strong benefits to that and making sure your team's able to stay fresh and play. Just continue to work on creating that routine of you go all season of you're playing every Saturday, and then all of a sudden you have a 25-day window or you have a 20-day window in between games. How you attack that, I think, is really, really important. So that's something we've really focused on.
And obviously, everyone would love to get a bye, but I think it's cool that now you have a home game in front of your fans. I actually think the teams on a bye should also get that, and maybe that's something they could tweak and make it figure out how to work it with the money moving forward. But what do you think that environment's going to be like coming up on that Saturday night?
Well, it's the first time it's ever happened in Autzen Stadium. So I think it'll be unbelievable. I know our fans are really excited about it. I know our players and our staff's excited about it. I expect Autzen's best, and this is just your chance to, show the world how special Autzen Stadium is, how special our fans are. So that's a high expectation for me.
Dan Lanning here with us. Sometimes we're antiquated in our beliefs, like in the old system before the college football playoff. If you lost one game, your season could be over. Now that's not the case. But after you guys lost to Indiana, a lot of people counted you guys out. Did this group feel that noise, and did you feel the disrespect?
I mean, you're always aware of it. You could say you're not. Like these guys have phones. You're aware of it. But the part that I think is really important is none of those people play the game. We do, right? And ultimately, if you're happy with where you're at or not happy with it, it's your fault, right? So it's our opportunity to go attack exactly where we're at and what we need to be able to do to improve and move forward. And that's how our team's attacked it this entire season. And realizing that they're the ones that make the impact on the field, go play the game.
Dan Lanning here with us. It's a testament to what you guys are doing at Oregon when other schools come calling to get your coordinators. Will Stein off to Kentucky, Tosh Lupoi obviously off to his school in Cal. Just how do you kind of envision this all going down? You've been in that spot before where you have to work two jobs when you get a bigger job in college football.
Well, it's a lot of juggling for them. It's tough. I want to be here for them to help them, get the advice that they need if they have a question. But ultimately, I know that feeling of I got this job because this team helped me get this job. And that feeling means you want to give everything you absolutely have to finish it the right way and send this team off on a high note. And I was really fortunate to get to do that at Georgia. You're not going to sleep a lot this next month. That's just the reality for both those guys. But we don't sleep that much anyway. So it's a lot of work. These are the kind of guys that are wired to be able to handle it. And I'm really excited for them and their future opportunities, but I'm really excited about finishing this thing off the right way.
Obviously, both those guys are going home, but for Kentucky fans and Cal fans, for the coaches respectively, what can they expect with the head coaches now they're getting?
Yeah, you got great ones. Obviously Cal, Tosh went to Cal. It's an area that he's always recruited extremely well, but it means a lot to him because it's exactly where he played. And I think he has a vision for that place and what they can become. He's the hardest worker I've ever been around, right? His work ethic is unmatched. He's a really intelligent coach that understands how to adapt and change with time. And then with Will, I see a lot of those same things: the energy, the offense that he's been able to create here, and build off of what we've done here in the past. Obviously that place means a ton to him with his dad playing there. And they're fun challenges for both those guys. And what I've noticed about both of them is they're going to run into a challenge and attack it, and with all the confidence in the world that they're going to be able to accomplish the things they want to be able to accomplish there. And I wouldn't doubt, either one of them for a second. They're both outstanding coaches.
It's not a new world when it comes to coordinators leaving and getting head coaching jobs, but now in this college football playoff world, we've seen a lot of head coaches leave, and then some of them are doing both jobs at once. With John Summerall, obviously with Bob Chesney, who you guys are going to be going up against, you'll be seeing a lot of him with him now going to UCLA. Just from afar and what you know about him, what stands out with what he's been able to do at James Madison and what kind of coach he is?
Well, you follow his path and you recognize this is a guy that's a winner everywhere he's been. And I think there's an appreciation from guys like me that recognize, Bob's path and how he got there. It wasn't, maybe his dad's a coach. I don't know that. But you see a guy that took the long haul to get to where he's at and work his way up and, win at a small level and then win at a bigger level and then win at a bigger level. And that doesn't happen on accident. Winners win. So obviously he's a winner. I'm sure he would tell you that it's part of having an incredible staff and having great players, but there's some of that credit that has to go back his direction, and excited for what the future holds, where we'll get to play these guys at UCLA, in the future. But obviously James Madison is the one right in front of us.
I've been very impressed with your quarterback this season, Dante Moore. At times he's been praised, at times he's been criticized. Wide receivers in and out of the lineup. Now getting him there for a full year playing, what really stands out and what has really impressed you with your quarterback?
Yeah, maturity, the level of growth. Like, this guy is super self-aware. I think that's one of the traits that doesn't exist a lot in football nowadays. People don't recognize what they recognize what they're good at, and they hear about it and they see it in the media, but they don't recognize the areas that they can improve and where they can grow. And Dante's a guy that's continued to grow every single week. He's extremely intelligent. He has great emotional control and command. I think the love for his teammates, the way these guys respond to Dante, is really, really special.
I know that you're focused on this game. I know that you're focused on winning a national championship, but with his future, how do you kind of help him make that decision if it's best for him to return or maybe go off to the NFL?
I want Dante to do what's best for Dante. I think ultimately he's the only person that can, answer that question. And there's a lot of positives to both, right? There's a lot of positives to both opportunities. Every player dreams of the opportunity to become an NFL player. And Dante's got, a good circle of people around him that he trusts, that he's going to be able to lean on. It's tough that some of those decisions you feel like are having to be made earlier than they necessarily have to. But that's just the world that we live in. I think the biggest thing for Dante right now is to focus on exactly where you're at, be where your feet are, be able to attack this moment and realize how special it is. And then when the time comes to make some of those decisions, I know he'll be ready for it.
It's the world now. Everyone jumps around. But what Malik Benson did in his last game, just how nice was that to see? Because, man, he came up big for you guys down the stretch.
The last few games, right? Malik's been an incredible player for us. He's made a lot of big plays this season, and I'm really happy for him to be in a situation where he's able to take advantage of everything that was thrown at him. Obviously he's been dynamic in the return game for us. He's made some huge explosive plays on offense. He's an unbelievable teammate. This guy has a smile on his face every single day. I think he recognizes how, blessed he is with the opportunity to be here, and he's taking advantage of it every day.
What's the latest health-wise when you come to Corian Moore and then Gary Bryant Jr.?
Yeah, to be determined. Those guys are making great progress. I feel like there's going to be an opportunity for us to see these guys again before the season's done, but we'll see how it all plays out.
And then how about Evan Stewart? Because I know last time we talked in September or October on the show, there was optimism that maybe he could return. Is that still on the table for an Evan Stewart return?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, part of it is us protecting these players from themselves and making sure that when they're ready, they get that opportunity. So we'll see how it all plays out. These guys are working extremely hard, and I'm hopeful that we can see him out there.
Yeah, where is he at in his rehab process? Just wondering.
What's the right answer for you here? What do you mean?
Like how close is he to? Is he close to maybe playing or no?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's optimism. I know Ducks fans that like to hear that. You never want to see injuries happen, but tough teams, really, they have to go through a lot of adversity. And you guys have that next man up mentality. I know it sounds cliche, but how true is that with your program this year, with the guys that had to step up when you have guys that unfortunately go down?
Yeah, you look at this team, and they've had unbelievable success, but it's because of the strength and numbers of this team, right? Whenever that next guy had to hop in and be in the middle of the ring, they were ready for that moment, and we've had that in a lot of different ways. I mean, we have a offensive line, for example, that's up for the Joe Moore Award, and the different hats that you've seen on that offensive line this season speaks to the job that Coach Terry does, and speaks to the focus of those players on that unit. You know, we've had a lot of different hats play in there. The wide receiver room is a great example. You know, we haven't been healthy in that area. And for those guys to go attack it the way they have, I mean, I think it speaks volumes about them.
Just two more things, and I'll let you run, Dan Lanning. Obviously, Oregon going to be playing the college football playoff up against James Madison. You may think you know what you have in a team before the season starts, and then you find out through the course of the season what your team is. What have you learned this year about this group that maybe surprised you?
You know, I don't think you ever know that as a coach. I think a lot of people pretend to know. You know, I knew we had talent. I felt like we had good talent. I think the big question going into the season is, okay, you just sent 10 players to the NFL. Where's the leadership? Where's the experience? Well, at this point in the season now, when you're talking about game 12, 13, 14, you know, that's not something you're necessarily looking for anymore. You've seen experience. You've seen guys out on the field to make an impact. And I always talk about that in fall camp. There's somebody that's going to be making an impact that you didn't anticipate making an impact at the end of the season. I think you see that with our team.
Yeah, I got to ask you this at the end, just because we have a lot of Penn State fans that listen to the show, a lot of Oregon fans that listen to the show. We've all heard the Pat Kraft leaked audio and what he said about Oregon. When that came across your desk, just how did you respond to it?
Yeah, no response. You know, Pat's trying to do the best job that he can for Penn State, but yeah, I heard it. It was good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll tell you, a lot of people, when they hear that, they go, next time Oregon plays Penn State, that's going to be a classic Dan Lanning hype up speech in the locker room.
We'll see.
Hey, Dan, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for doing this. Good luck, good health with your program the rest of the way.
Thank you, Zach. Have a good one.